Oh my gosh, it's been a while, but I feel like that there is a much needed update. And so I keep saying, oh, I'm going to make more videos, and there's always something that comes up. But yes, I am still making videos, but this video in particular is one that has been kind of hard for me to make. I've made this video a couple times, and each time I just would kind of have a little breakdown because it's something that's really hard for me to talk about. For the past, gosh, he's 5.5 now. For the past 5.5 months, we've had Jameson, and we love Jameson. However, when Jameson turned about 3 weeks old, the crying began. And it did not stop till he was 4.5 months old. And some people may think, oh, a crying baby, whatever. Well, I think in my case, it's a little bit more in depth than that because, you know, adoptive moms, we go through a lot of emotions when a baby's placed with us. We're dealing with guilt, we're dealing with wanting to bond with the baby, all these different things that are so important for us. And all I knew about adoptions, or my experience, was just the one I had with Sawyer. And so when things didn't go exactly the way Sawyer's did, I kind of was scared and a little shaky about things, and I didn't quite know how to make sense of things. A crying baby is really hard. I don't know if any of you guys have had colic before, but colic is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to go through, especially because crying's one thing, but it's another thing when they're adopted. And I'm just saying that in the sense that you have to understand that when an open adoption, when you're placed with a child, the second they're put in your arms, you don't feel this like instant bond with them like it's like glue. At least I didn't. I did feel love for him, but you have to remember that I still attach him to his birth mom in the beginning. And it's like I was feeling kind of like I was feeling a lot of guilt, because I love his birth mom so much, and I just felt guilty. I felt that I was the cause of her pain, and all these things that are very normal to feel in an open adoption in the beginning. And as the crying went on, and we come back to Texas, and he would cry and cry and cry, it starts to wear on you. And not only that, but as an adoptive mom, I took it very personally. I interpreted his crying as he doesn't love me, he doesn't want me, he didn't choose me, that maybe there was a mistake somewhere. I had no idea. I couldn't make sense of it. I took him to the doctor. I tried everything. I took him to a chiropractor. I took him to an energy specialist. I switched his diet. I took him off breast milk and put him on formula. That didn't do anything. And so I was just kind of out of options. I didn't really know what to do. And so I felt it weighing on me and beating me down, and I didn't know what to do. It was so hard because his birth family would ask for updates, and I just didn't have the heart to say, well, all he does is cry all the time, because I didn't want them to worry. And so it's been really, really hard. And I didn't really know anybody that had experienced colic before. So also another thing that goes on in this part of the adoption process is you get follow-up visits with your caseworker. And I think the first visit back, I didn't really share the struggles I was feeling. But we had a couple more coming up. And so I guess it was probably, he had been crying for, he was probably about 3 months old. And I couldn't handle it any longer. And I called Brett and I was like, Brett, you need to come home from school. And I kind of had a little meltdown. I kind of was feeling like, why does this baby hate me so much? What am I doing wrong? I felt like I'm his mother. I should be more in tune with his needs, and I felt like I was failing him. Like, his birth family is trusting me to love him and care for him and make him happy, and when I've tried everything and nothing works, I kind of felt like maybe he wasn't for us. I didn't know. These are all things that I could not make sense of. And I looked around on different adoption blogs and everything, and I just couldn't find anybody that had experienced adoption colic before. I did find a couple people that I gave birth to babies that had colic, and they did tell me, oh, it is so hard. I was so afraid to have any more kids. And so that was kind of like, okay, well, at least, they felt those things. So maybe if I had given birth to him, I would have felt the same way. I don't know. See, I've never given birth, so I didn't know. And so it came time for us to meet with our caseworker, And I was really scared to tell them because I felt like maybe they would find me an unfit parent. I had no idea, but I felt like I needed to release some of this. I needed to get help. I needed to figure out if the things I was feeling in my head, if those were normal. I didn't know. And so I was scared to death. I had been crying my eyes out, and finally I was like, look, I need to tell them, because if this is not normal, then maybe he doesn't belong with us. Maybe there's another family out there that he would love more than he loves us. I didn't know. And so when it came time to meet with our caseworker, I just told him how bad I was struggling, how like I felt that I was missing my window of opportunity to bond with him, because it's really, really hard to bond with a baby that all he does is scream in your face all day long. It's really hard to do that. And so I felt my window of opportunity closing in on me, and I didn't know what to do. I felt like a complete and utter failure, and that is like the worst feeling in the entire world. And so I went and I told him everything. I told him about the crying. I told him about my crying, about how I just felt like so overwhelmed. I was exhausted. I hadn't slept in months. And I asked him, I was like, please just direct me to somebody that's been through this before, please. And there was nobody at the adoption agency that knew of another adoptive mom that had experienced a colicky baby. So that wasn't any help either. However, I was so open with them, and they did tell me that a lot of the things that I was feeling was normal, and that it was a good thing that I was kind of sharing that with them. So I laid it all out. I told them everything, and after everything was said and done, they asked me if I wanted to come be a guest speaker and talk about the emotions of adoption colic, because adoption colic is a beating. Colic is a beating already. But put adoption and all the emotions involved in that on top of it, and it is like the horriblest, worst feeling in the entire world. So, needless to say, I've been a very busy mom. Jameson needs he loves to be held, and that is okay. I kind of felt that he would need a little bit more hands-on. See, Sawyer was a very easy baby. He was very, he would go play by himself just fine. And, it was just kind of rough, but, even through all that Jameson and I went to, there got to a point where I really was thinking, am I the best mom for him? Does he deserve me as his mother? Because I felt like no parent should feel the way about their child how I felt about Jameson, how I felt so frustrated with him, and why don't you love me? Why don't you want me as your mom? Because that's how you interpret things. And I remembered before Jameson was even born, I remember thinking to myself, I was very calm, and I wasn't really worried about it. With Sawyer's adoption, I would panic every day. I was like, is she going to change her mind? Is she going to place? What's she going to do? Ah! But with Jameson, I didn't feel anything like that. I was very at peace with it, very comfortable with everything. I had no doubt in my mind that she would go through with everything. I don't know why I felt that way. And I remember thinking, Candace, you need to remember this, because it's going to hit the roof, and you've got to remember that he is meant to be yours. He chose you. And I remember thinking wow, I've got to remember this, because it's going to be ugly. And I was right. It was ugly. There were so many days, and there was times where I would just wake up with him and just cry with him and just ask him to love me. I feel like I'm just laying this out on you, but it was probably one of the hardest trials I've ever been through. A lot of people would see my struggles or see him at church or something, so they'd offer to help, but I felt like this was something that I needed to conquer. It would just break my heart to see somebody else being able to comfort him or fix him in a way that I couldn't. I was already so insecure with my role as his mom. I just didn't want to see anybody else do that. And I was also kind of afraid. I didn't want to leave him with anybody, because I was afraid they would shake him or something, because he screams so loud. I'm surprised I have any windows in my house. But I was afraid of that. And so you feel very lonely and isolated. You feel like you can't go anywhere. And so I did stay at home a lot. But I just, I wanted to work it. I wanted to beat this and conquer it. And I felt like I was just too embarrassed, too ashamed to ask for anybody help. Next, if I had another colicky baby, yeah, I would definitely be like, yeah, come on over and watch my kid for me so I can go, take a shower. I don't know, to go grocery shopping. But sometimes, like, I've learned, sometimes you just need a break, and I've taken breaks. There was one time when I just felt like Sawyer just needed my attention a little bit, so Sawyer and I went to go see a movie, and we left Jameson at home with Dad. And sometimes you just need that, but that would just recharge my batteries enough to be able to make it for another day, another day, another day. So it was really, really rough. But you need that. You got to take breaks. You have to do it, and it will get better. And a lot of people said, Candace, it will get better. And I didn't believe him. I was like, it's never getting better. He hates me. He's going to grow up and hate me. And, it's torture. The mind games that you do with yourself is just horrible. So just know that your kid does love you. It's just really rough. They're either hurting or they're gassy, and there's just really nothing you can do but just to love them through it. So I love him. I love him so incredibly much. I've learned that adoption is different with every adoption. Every child's different, and that if you are an adoptive mom with a colicky baby, you are going to have thoughts that you've never thought you'd ever have before. You're going to doubt yourself as a parent. You're going to question whether or not that this child loves you. That is normal to feel. This is what I've learned. I have learned to be more patient than I've ever been in my life. I have learned to love unconditionally in a way I never thought I could. I've learned to be more compassionate, especially towards other moms that have crying babies in public, because I used to just be like, oh, control that child of yours. And now I just have nothing but sympathy for them. Jameson's come a long way. There's times where he's crying, and I know he'll look at me and he'll just say, I'm trying really hard. Like, I can feel that he's really trying, and that he knows that I love him, and that I know that he loves me back. But it's just been a really rough road. And, sorry. It's just been really hard. But him and I are now at a place where he is 5.5 months old, and in a couple weeks we are going to court to finalize our adoption, and I cannot wait. I'm so glad that they gave me 6 months to make this decision, because, even though his birth mom signed her rights over, like, he's legally not mine. And so, like, if I had changed my mind or whatever, I could have, but I am so glad that him and I have stuck it out. We have beat this. We have survived colic, adoption colic. And so, I don't know if any of y'all had experienced colicky babies before. Please share your experience with me, because I know it was rough for me. So sometimes it's just nice to know that somebody else has been there. But him and I have come a long way, and I just can't wait. Like, now he smiles, and the crying slowed down about 4.5 months. So we've had about a month to just kind of get to know each other, just embrace each other, and I've learned different techniques. The doctor thought maybe it could be acid reflux, so he showed me some, like, different techniques of ways to sit him and prop him and different bottles, so that's helped a little bit. But I feel so proud of him and I, because we've overcome this together. And so it does get better. Know that it will get better if you have a colicky baby, especially if you're an adoptive mom with a colicky baby. It will get better. And it's so much sweeter. I love now that, like, I have to hold him a lot, but I also love that he lights up the minute I walk in the room. He knows me, and it's good. So thank you guys for all your patience and love and support. So please share your experience with me. That's where I've been, but him and I are really good now, so it was worth it. So see you guys later.